first time.
Your first time?
Yeah.
How'd you hear about it?
Well, I've heard about Adoti. I've been a member of Adoti Philadelphia for 5 years, but I never really got to the influx of what it was about. I just showed up for meetings if I felt like I needed a new venue other than just hanging out in the clubs. And I didn't want to do the clubs because I just got out of a bad relationship and I was avoiding my ex. So, I read in the paper, there was this support group for black men. And I decided to go and find out what it was about. Maybe I was looking for a new boyfriend. I didn't know what to expect, but I wanted something different. So I started with the meetings and I got involved with it and I stuck around for a little while. It just got too complicated, so I kind of backed off after a while because there were other venues that I was involved in. I was in a recovery program and I was doing some acting around the city. I had a full-time job and I, had other hobbies, so there just wasn't a lot of time for it, and I decided to just back off. I had a good friend who always talked about this retreat. I mean, I can remember 5, 6 years ago, him telling me I'm going to the Adoti retreat, I'm going to the Adoti retreat. And I was like, I ain't going there. I had no interest at all. I didn't even bother to find out what it was about. I just knew him and his buddies would go every summer, and he would just be very excited about it. He was in a different type of lifestyle than I was. I was more of the secluded type of homosexual. I didn't want to be involved in a homosexual lifestyle, even though I was homosexual. And at that point, I don't think I really was accepting my homosexuality. I wasn't content with it, so, it's more in the closet I could keep it, I would keep it.
All right. Now, so tell me about the experience right now, being here now.
Well, I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to come. I came back to Adoti some 4 months ago, and I started getting involved with it again, and they kept talking about this retreat, and I'm like, here they go with that, and I just still had no interest, and I had a buddy that just kept, bringing it up, and I just listened, but I never was receptive, and the last month or so, he and I had gotten together a little more often, and he kept pushing this retreat on me, and I was like, yeah, I don't actually caught me at a vulnerable moment. I was kind of drunk, and he was like, are you, I was like, yeah, because I was, you get a little high, and you start bonding, and I love you, man, and it was like, well, you need to come retreat us, and at that point on, he kind of helped me on to that commitment, and I just gotten back from LA, and, we had talked about this retreat before I went, and I still hadn't really decided I was going to go, but I had made the commitment, and I affirmed it when I was in LA on this trip, and he kind of helped me to it. And when I got back on Thursday. The retreat was Friday morning, and I just didn't want to go. It's no way I wanted to be involved with this. I didn't want to be bothered. I just wanted to go home in my own little world and not be bothered with this, whatever it was. They said I was going to have the greatest time of my life. And I came here with an attitude. I tried to figure every angle I could not to come here. I called them up the night before, and well, what is this about? Well, what are the accommodations? I didn't like the accommodations. How much you say it was? What's that money going to? Oh, that's too much money. In a wilderness, oh no, I mean, just any and everything I could think of, and he just was not going to let me out of this commitment. And because this is a positive influence on me, I didn't want to let him down, and I'm the type of person, when I make commitments, I pretty much stick to them, so he loaded me up and moved me up here, and I came and I had an attitude. I put on my meanest face and my strongest stroll, and my biggest chip was on my shoulder, and I walked in his grounds with. I walked into the campgrounds, everybody smiled at me. And I'm used to going to environments because I carry a very arrogant disposition where people don't accept me or applaud me. And when I came in here, everybody welcomed me open-hearted, and that was something I knew it was going to take work to get them to leave me alone because I didn't want to. And they was like, well, here's, they put me in this room, and, oh, I can't stay in this room. I don't like this room. And okay, that's fine. Here's another room. And I was like, I don't like this room. And they said, well, we'll find you something till you like it. And they
Mhm.
put me in the room with these two guys, and I'd seen them before. And I kind of said, okay, I'll stay in here. And the beginning of this wonderful journey that I've been on, their reception was overwhelming. Automatically, I became a part of their family, and that's what they call me now, their family. And one of the members actually calls me his baby.
Mhm.
I mean, and I call him Grandma, because that's what he likes to be called. And in here, and those chips just started falling. They were falling. And if they, I actually started crying, and I hadn't cried in a long time. Ashamed. I remember what I was crying about. They told me to think about all the people that I'd known who had passed.
Now, was this in the celebration of the ancestors
Yeah.
ceremony?
And I had a really good friend, Rudy. And
Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Oh, what did I do? Okay, no, I'm sorry. You remember your friend Rudy?
yeah, and I remember when I was rough around the edges, and he still embraced me. And he was the guy who was always coming. I mean, I'm talking like in 1981, when I had one pair of shoes, and I was popping every pill I had, and I was drinking all the liquor that was on the table, and all I wanted to do was party. But this boy just saw something in me that I didn't find for years down the line, and that was just the spirit. And I remembered him, and I remember telling me about this, and I remember him being a friend of me when I didn't know how to be a friend of myself. And I remembered him, and I cried. Yes, all of them. I think I'm one of the ones that's left. I I've been thinking over the last period of time, why am I left? You know,
Mm.
there are times that I just didn't want to be the one that's left. You know, when is it my turn? And I'm ready for it because I don't have any more joy. And those were the first tears that I felt. Those were the first tears that I felt that were from my heart in so long. Then I remember another friend of mine's an ex-lover who had passed some years ago, who also saw that spirit and tried to nurture it. And my husband but he's unconditionally stood by me. Then I remember my mother. No matter how dissatisfied I am with myself, I know she would be proud of me, or she is proud of me. And all these feelings just came, and I cried. And I didn't want to cry. I didn't like crying. But there were arms on me, and I don't know who these people were, but they felt so good. I don't like people to touch me. I don't like embracing people. I've been in recovery groups, and the worst part was the hugging, you know? But it just felt good,
Mm.
and it felt natural, and it was comfortable.
What other workshops or what other activities that occurred this weekend that has touched your life in a special way?
Just the being. There's no one particular activity that's necessarily been resounding. It's just been an accumulation of the spirit that's here. You know, 20 minutes ago, I just went through another one of my crying periods. They just come. They told me let it flow, so I'm letting it flow. But I always try to hide. And I'm talking about 10 times at least I can remember I tried to hide. And each time I've tried to hide, I just knew I was safe this time. I made a left this way and a right this way to avoid people. Went in the bathroom, and I was there. And I turned to him and said, what's wrong, baby?
Mm.
He said, I saw you trying to get away, but I ain't gonna let you. I ain't through with you yet. And I told him I was sad. And I was sad because I had belonged to a recovery group that was my inspiration and my depth and my guide. and turned their backs on me. And it took from that period to this period to find that spirit again.
Mm.
And I was mad at them
Okay.
because these are people who also told me unconditionally that they were my family. And when I needed them the most, they weren't there. And they still haven't been here. I gotten sick, and I was in the hospital. And they knew I was gay. And I don't know what they thought was wrong with me. They never bothered to ask. But I sat up in the hospital room for 4 days, and they knew because I was asked to speak at at our particular meeting, and I told one of the members that I couldn't, that I was in the hospital, and let the group know.
They never called?
They still haven't called. It's been close to 2 years.
Mm.
And I was sad because during that period, a lot of things happened. I had issues that I needed help with, and I didn't trust anybody to help me with them. God puts people in my life, and there have been people there. Um,
You were mad because...
there were so many things that shouldn't have been done to me that was because this is where I had my spirit contingent on. And because of that, I allowed my spirit to just disperse.
Mm. Mm.
And ultimately, I lost my recovery of 9 years.
Oh.
Um, I lost my direction. Stopped caring. I gave up. And all that work that I had done on the inside was lost because I didn't know how to do it by myself, and I tried. And at some point, I got tired of trying, and I gave up. Oh, like I really have to, and I'm not angry with them anymore. I'm still disappointed, but I still have an obligation to go back to them and say, you judged me and you said you never would. And you turned your back on me when I needed you the most. Not just for me, but for anybody that comes in those rooms and you giving them this false hope and then turning your back on them and leaving them out there to die.
Mm.
Because that's truly what I've been waiting to do.
Oh, has that changed since you've been here?
They gave me a book and they told me to write what I experienced.
What now?
I came in here with no hope. And I have hope.
Mm.
And I have direction. More important, and I don't want to be sounding preachy, but I want to spirit. I want to sing it. I got spirit, you know, and that's a wonderful thing.
Mm. What'd you think of the induction thing last night?
I think as I walked up the hill, just such a energy and a faith and that spirit again just made me feel like God was saying to me, boy, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay.
Mm. Yeah.
And there, and I was by the campfire, and the people were whispering, and I didn't know who they were. And that was real important that I could call them that. It was funny, you know. I got hugs and people whispered things. But I got somebody grabbed me and I started crying. And I knew who it was. Who it was, and they didn't say anything, they just held me. And then they said something I knew I was safe. It was Grandma. But I knew who that was. The spirit, the energy. And that's beyond my wildest dreams, you know, to have that kind of energy flowing without even having to say anything to anybody. Today, I'm a little sad. I've been saying I've had enough, but I'm lying. I don't want this to end, but I'm scared. I don't, I don't want to live like I used to live. I don't want to go back to that room, to that despair, to that resentment, to that anger. Vision. I mean, it was going to be okay, and they told me to trust them. They told me everything was going to be all right, and I believe y'all.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I believe y'all.
It's gonna be all right.
So of course I'm skeptical about everything, and that me, when I put me in shit, it kind of fucks things up. So I'm trying to keep me out of this, and I'm trying to let y'all tell me it's gonna be all right and believe y'all,
Mm.
and not go there with my shit, cause my shit'll turn it all upside down, and then it'll be all scrambled up again, and I'll be where I was,
Mm.
and that's when I'm trying not to go back to, and there's some fear in that, because I like taking control. I think I take good control, unless it's my shit. Now, if I do it on my own, we're in trouble. But if I do it with the spirit of a doty, then I think I'm going to be safe and all right.
Now, if there was one sentence, one phrase, one word to describe your experience here, what would it be?
Well, I think this is the third time, and this is just my personal. It's a wonderful thing. I keep saying that over and
That's all
over and
right.
over, but that's what I feel. It's a wonderful thing. It's the spirit. It's the spirit. It's nothing
Mm.
you can grab, nothing you can look at, but it's definitely something you can feel.
Mm.
It's what's guiding me. That's what's allowing these tears of joy. They came, they began tears of sorrow, but they're actually tears of joy because it's unresolved shit that's going on or has been going on. It's coming to a closure and stuck in the mud anymore. I've learned how to lift up,
Mm-hmm.
but I've learned that I don't have to stay in it if I don't want to. The realization is that it's definitely up to me. You know, I want to with this spirit, and it's my choice. And my choice would have been, nah, I ain't going to this, fuck that, But my spirit is alive and it's kicking,
Mm.
and it's ready to do some work. One of the issues that I had was I didn't want to do no work. Y'all gonna make me go, because I've been through things before, on spiritual, um, directed. But this is quite different because I've never had anything grasp me so strongly and so powerfully. I was in there. I want to be on a planning committee. I want to be on an internet committee. I don't want you people out of my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's and that's okay. Because I can't do that. I can't be on the planning committee or the internet committee or whatever committee they have. I have that kind of energy. So it's nothing that I would say just to be saying it. Because when I was in the recovery group, I was on every committee they would let me be on. They said, "Oh, you've been on enough. Sit down. Give somebody else a chance." And even in the Philadelphia chapter, the little time that I've been involved since I've been back, they see the spirit and they want it, and they've invited me to channel it. It's just, I, I told them when I came, I don't know what I want. I know I need something, and I'm looking to see if you guys are the answers, and I'm not committing. And actually, today I committed.
Mm. Wonderful.
Actually, I told the president that I will be at the meeting Friday. I want everybody there. Tell them I'm coming and I want to see their face, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important that we take what's here, this spirit, and we bring it to whatever rooms or forms that we have, so that those who may not have had the opportunity to envision this wonderful thing will have an opportunity outside of Fellowship Farms in
Yes.
our own venues.
Yes.
And that's what have to farms. And this is a wonderful thing. But it doesn't have to end, and it shouldn't.
Yes. Yes. So how can you share with me your first experience being with another man?
I was about 9 years old, and this guy called me in the alley, and in his backyard, and in his basement, and he screwed me. I had no idea what that was about. I don't know. I don't think I liked it. But that's what it was. And time he did it, I wanted him to do it. With that came a lot of shit. There, because I heard talk in the neighborhood about this person, and I didn't want anybody to find out that I was the one he was doing it to, and I didn't like the names that they called him, and I definitely didn't want them to call me those names.
Now, was he your brother?
No, yeah, yeah, yeah.
What happened after that?
It allowed me to open up, or it allowed me to build closets.
Hmm.
And I stayed in some years to a degree I'm feeling someone.
Okay. So have you been in a committed relationship with another man?
Yeah.
As you count on your fingers.
Yeah.
But they've all, but, but you feel that they've all been in the closet. That's what, yeah. No.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't walk down Broad Street holding his hand.
All right.
But, I've had relationships where I lived with men, and I've loved men. Funny, over the course of being in this recovery thing, and the last couple of years I've spent some time with me, I think I had problems loving people right. Not loving them, but loving them right. And I actually realized that that was because I never loved me.
Mm.
And that was the hard, because, I would be in a relationship, out, another one next week, out, I never stayed single long.
Okay.
And I'm
Well,
very
I can
dependent.
see why.
Thank you. But I'm very dependent. And going back and looking at my life, I realized I was dependent because I was abandoned to a degree. Not I had a mother who loved me and who was always there, but she was a dancer and she was on the road, and she would leave me, and I would cry until she came home.
Mm.
And when she came home, I would hold her and not let her go because I was afraid she would leave again. And I do that with my men. I don't.
You don't want them to do what?
They can go to work.
You don't want them to go to work. That's what you said.
Yeah, they can go to work, but we got to bring in the bacon. But, but I just, when they're with me, I hold them at night, all night. And if I wake up and they're not next to me, I get them, I grab them, and
Several people would like that.
Yeah.
I think that's so wonderful.
I don't do that anymore.
You don't do that anymore?
No.
You don't hold them anymore?
No. to.
Why, you don't what?
I don't know how to
You
anymore.
don't know how to. Well, we've held a great deal here
Mm.
this weekend. We've touched a great deal this weekend. So will that encourage you to go back to that wonderful, beautiful characteristic you have, to hold and to touch them more?
Haven't I haven't been in a venue where I've wanted to hold anybody.
Okay.
I'm very, very adamant about not falling in love. Um, and I've been in a relationship for a year and a half, and I refuse to fall in love with him. I love him, and I refuse to hold him. I refuse to let him in. And it was funny because I was in LA for 2 weeks, and he went to Florida, and he went to Florida with another man. And I knew about this other man, and the other man is there because I don't make myself available. And I called these shots, and I'm accepting, you know, I have a little problem with it, but I'm accepting that he has to fulfill his life the best way he knows how. And we never really discussed it, but we discussed it before I came here. And he said, baby, I've been with you a long time ago. This is what you told me you wanted. This is what you said, how you felt this relationship. You told me you didn't want to fall in love with me. You told me that you didn't want a relationship. And I had to agree with him. And I had to ponder it. And I had to realize just how distant I've become to emotional contact.
Mm.
You know what? Before I came here, I said, fuck it. So what? You know, I did 2 weeks in LA. You know, I shouldn't be mad. And, you know, and I was sitting at the table at dinner, and I was saying, you know, I really wish I told him just to have a good time.
Yeah.
You know, he, he put up a little front about me going to LA, but he told me he wanted me to have a good time,
Mm.
and I didn't tell him that.
How old are you?
39.
You're 39.
Mm-hmm.
And where did you grow up?
Philadelphia.
You've been here all your life.
All my life.
Okay.
Tried to escape a couple times, but they keep sending me back.
They
Oh, we
keep-
don't want you here. No,
And what
actually.
type of work do you do?
Um,
I have to get some
yeah.
demographic information about
Well,
you, so I'm just.
I've worked for the government for 17
Okay.
years, and my job downsized, so I'm presently unemployed.
Okay. All right.
Enjoying life.
Enjoying life. To college or anything?
No, actually, I already started school.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great.
Actually, one day this week I'm going down. My job has a $12,000 grant for me, so they're going to put me in. And you know what I'm going to school for? I'm going to be an actor.
Wonderful.
That's my lifelong dream. I've done it in
You've done
Philadelphia.
theater.
Yeah, and I'm great from what I hear. And that's what I want to pursue.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And I'm proud of myself for that.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for coming here
Yeah.
and staying with us.
Oh, I was trying to get home, though. Trying to get home.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know. Oh, can I get that? Thanks. Oh, man. I really do appreciate your time
Yeah.
and sharing with me, because, you know, it's really interesting because these interviews are more than just interviews.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be able to just, hear these stories,
Mm-hmm.
and it touches my life, and it's, in the writing process, I have to include how I feel about recording these stories. Because to me, it's more than just sitting down and just give me the information.
Right.
But it's actually wanting to know, to feel, to empathize. Remember what he said yesterday in the workshop, how we're empathetic. How did he pronounce it? I think it was the correct pronunciation anyway. I used to teach theater.
Okay.
Actually.
Oh, great.
Empathetic. The feeling into.
Uh-huh.
And because of that spirit.
Where you from?
I'm originally from California.
Okay.
But I live in Ohio right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that feeling. And each time I listen and sit down and listen to someone and to allow them to share their experiences, I'm just blown away.
Mm.
And when I go back to sit down to record, just to write some things down, I can't help but cry. And it's because I went through this last year when I came to Dodie.
Mm-hmm.
It was so overwhelming for me. It totally changed my life. Totally changed my life. For the first 29 years of my life, I think I've been asleep. I was asleep. And when I came here, my eyes were opened. And for that reason, and things happen for a purpose. I do believe in God. I don't believe that things happen by accident. And after I left here, things just fell into order for me to take this research opportunity in Ohio. But it's more than that. I am doing research about what I want to do, about us, about this. But it's just not research to be put up in a book or a journal, but it's to empower. Because I want every Adodi man to be able to read some of the stuff that I've recorded in their hands, so they can be empowered, so they can, and give it to other people, so they can come to this retreat to enjoy the space that we've created. And so it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And so my life, this past year after I left here has been just so wonderful. I feel so liberated. That's what it is, liberated. Hadn't cut my hair.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I'm from an ultra-conservative family. I went through an educational process that I'm happy that I was able to go to school where I went to school, get the degrees that I have, but I wasn't happy. I was never, ever happy because I was doing things because people expected me to do these things.
Right.
And I've never been in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I've never allowed myself to fall in love with someone, because I've never felt the freedom to do that. For I think I love myself, but the falling in love with myself, you know.
And you want to hear something funny? I got up this morning and, we got a last call breakfast thing, and it's quarter of, time to go. And I ran into the bathroom and looked at the mirror and I smiled. And I liked what I saw. And that was the first time I had liked what I saw in a mirror in so long.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
But
Ashe.
it didn't dawn on me until I said, did I look at me and smile at me? I was blown away. I was like, said good morning to myself, and I was happy I was up. And I had something to do. I was going to breakfast with my new family, And I didn't want to miss it. I didn't want to miss them. And that was powerful.
Oh, Ashe.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks once again. I